I didn't dare to try to pull away as a bead of sweat percolated on my forehead. Even though she was much smaller than me at about 166 centimeters, the weight of her gaze when locked onto mine felt as if I were the roach and she the shoe.
Mercury, please put it on.
I glared at the blindfold, then back towards Dad.
Is this really necessary?
It is necessary and it is tradition, young lady.
Dad gently tied the blindfold around my eyes.
This is something everyone must do.
I was blind as a bat as I was led into the car. Dad, Tessa, and I were headed to the Intercontinental.
You can now take off your blindfolds.
After a 10-hour chartered flight and another 5-hour drive on a hilly road, I could finally take off this godforsaken blindfold. Upon yanking it off my face, sunlight stabbed at my eyes.
Shit!
I screamed as I put my hands to my face.
I'm so sorry. I forgot to mention to ease into opening your eyes, as to adjust to the morning light.
The guide warned.
Well, fuck me. How about you lead with that next time?
I slowly opened my eyes to see Tessa unraveling her blindfold as well. I squinted to take in more of the surroundings to see that we were in the dank opening of a grotto. Stalactite dripped with water as the slight funk of ammonia filled the atmosphere. Adjusting more to the beaming sunlight, I noticed a pier a few steps away from us porting a decent-sized speedboat. On the horizon was a vast void of cobalt blue ocean. Our guide, Jasper, was an older gentleman wearing a butler's garb. I could finally put a face to the strong British accent he had. Jasper had a distinguishing curly mustache that elevated his prim and proper tuxedo. He began walking towards the speedboat.
Everyone, please follow me.
We quickly caught up to Jasper as he led us into the boat. With his white-gloved, elegant hand, he helped each of us onto the wobbly contraption. I took my seat near the steering wheel while Dad and Tessa sat together across from me. Jasper untied the boat from the pier.
This is the last stretch until we reach our final destination.
He was manning the steering wheel, then turned the ignition.
Please fasten your seatbelts.
We did as we were told, and we were off. My hair and red sundress flapped in the wind as the warm breeze glided over my face. I squinted to take in the majestic blue of the ocean. The taste of its air reminded me of salted caramel as the morning light reflected off the iridescent ocean surface.
Take these.
Dad shouted over the roaring motor. I turned my head to face him to see his outstretched arm holding a pair of Louis Vuitton sunglasses. Dad and Tessa were also now wearing sunglasses.
I'm fine, thank you.
I dismissed him with a flick of my wrist. By now, the boat was so far from the grotto pier that we were surrounded by only the ocean. It felt scary to realize how small we were in relation to the vastness of blue, insignificant specks in the grand scheme of things. As our boat continued ahead, something was becoming bigger in the horizon. I used my hand to block out the sun to make out what I was witnessing.
No take-backs on the glasses.
Dad was now in a hearty laugh with Tessa following suit.
We are almost there.
Jasper announced as he clutched the accelerator. The object could finally be identified, and I let out a breath that I hadn't realized I was holding. Coming quickly into frame was an enormous cruise ship. My mouth was left agape as I tried to take in what I was looking at. I snapped my head to face Dad to see him give me an ear-to-ear smile.
Same reaction I had when I first saw it.
We were finally close enough for me to absorb the floating beauty. On the starboard side spelled its name, the Intercontinental, in big, bold, black letters. The sunlight reflected on its glorious blue body that matched the hue of the ocean with white strips and trimmings bordering it. To my left and right were other speedboats quickly approaching the massive cruiser. Jasper masterfully swerved our boat next to the cruiser, pushed a button on its side, and an array of ladder steps emerged.
All aboard.
Jasper called out with gusto as he latched the speedboat to the cruiser.
Please watch your step as you climb. I will be right behind you.
Tessa was first to start her ascension with my dad and I following behind her. We were a few steps away from the cruiser's surface when I turned around and took another look at the vast ocean. Wow. Just wow. This was probably what it felt like to climb Everest. With Jasper getting closer from below me, I continued the climb. Dad helped me up the last step, followed by Jasper, and we were finally on board.
Welcome to the Intercontinental.
What we were graced with was something out of this world. This wasn't a ship. It was a floating resort island. A clear pool that resembled the ocean surrounded almost the entire deck. In the center was a water slide that spiraled downward with children shooting out like rockets. Bordering the massive pool were people relaxing on reclining beach chairs, each shaded by its own personal palm tree. However, the most eye-opening aspect was the collective shroud of lime green that permeated the atmosphere, the color of peace. Jasper waved his arm.
Please follow me as I give you a tour and show you to your quarters.
For a seasoned gentleman, Jasper had a pep in his step as we trotted closely behind him.
The proprietors of the Intercontinental look forward to providing you the most comfortable stay for the weekend.
Jasper picked up his pace as we navigated the perimeter of the pool.
As you can see, we have a community water park for families to enjoy, and a snack bar in the corner.
He pointed to a food vendor serving something that smelled divine.
All expenses at every vendor and retailer have been covered during your stay, so please eat and shop at your heart's content. Oh, and before I forget, the forecast states that there will be a storm coming Sunday evening. We should have the Intercontinental portside well before Poseidon's tantrum.
We reached the other side of the pool where an elevator was stationed. Jasper tapped on the console and the clear doors opened.
Now to your quarters.
Following Jasper inside the elevator, the doors closed and we began to descend. Outside of our elevator, we could see everything the interior had to offer. There was a giant bubble in the ceiling housing the aforementioned pool, but directly below it were stores, restaurants, bars, and in the far end was an Aphrodite club. Eyes wild with bewilderment, I turned to Dad and he gave me a grin.
You mean to tell me that you come here every year?
I asked.
Yep. And I tried many of times to get you to join me.
Dad chuckled.
Now you know what you have been missing out on.
I turned back around to face the outside as we continued to descend.
The shoppers, as we like to call it, will be the main hub for many of our activities. When you enter your quarters, a detailed itinerary will be on your bedside.
The shoppers disappeared out of sight as we continued downward. What followed was a luxury hotel area with a bellhop waiting near the elevator entrance. The elevator slowly came to a stop and the doors opened. Jasper stepped out with us behind him.
Lastly, we have the suites. I will show you to your quarters.
The bellhop gave us a cheerful smile and bowed as we walked past him. Following Jasper, we took a corridor and continued walking down the hallway. Tessa let out a dragged sigh.
They better have my leave-in conditioner this time around.
I made sure you had all of your essentials, my love.
Dad playfully tugged on Tessa's chin.
And if I missed anything, Louisa should be of help.
Louisa, she's here as well?
Almost like magic, we turned a corner and Louisa, with all of her pregnant glory, was waiting outside of a room. I could feel my left eye twitching when our gazes met.
And here are your lodgings for the weekend.
Jasper handed each of us a key card.
We at the Intercontinental hope you enjoy your stay, and if you need anything at all, please use the phones on your bedside. I bid you a farewell until then.
Jasper and his springy steps finally departed from us. I looked at my key card to see that I was staying in the room across the hall from Dad's.
I made sure all of your belongings were packed in your closet.
Louisa's mousy voice informed.
Thank you, Louisa.
Dad said, now scanning his key card on the door. Glaring at Louisa, I asked,
When did you even get here?
Well,
Louisa arrived here yesterday to prepare our rooms.
Dad interrupted.
Why do you think I told you not to bring your luggage? Louisa, as always, had it covered.
I cut my eyes back to Dad.
Of course.
Dad and Tessa finally entered their room, and I approached my own. The jet lag I did so well to mask was quickly creeping up on me. I scanned the keycard, then opened my door, and the first thing I noticed was an enormous window, viewing the ocean underwater. Various colors of ocean life from jellyfish to stingrays swam near the window, which helped put me in a better mood. I entered the room to see the king-sized bed, but it wasn't empty. Lying comfortably on top of the lofty bed was a body under the comforter.
Oh, I am so sorry.
I yelped, attempting to leave.
Must have been a mix-up.
There is no mix-up, my Mercury.
The mist coming from the woman quickly overtook the room, a suffocating waft that blitzed me with its weight. She turned her body around to reveal herself. It was Senora Sanchez, her eyes covered by a red sleeping mask.
I thought you said you wouldn't be here, Senora Sanchez.
My hands quivered on the doorknob. Senora Sanchez sat up, exposing her voluptuous curves through her fiery red robe. then stretched out her arms to let out a loud yawn. She pulled up her mask and rubbed her eyes.
I won't be staying.
She groggily answered.
A few hands needed to be shaken, babies to be kissed. You should understand, daughter of my #1 vendor.
I guess?
She giddily clapped her hands.
Glad to hear.
She stood up and fastened her fiery robe. In the closet next to the bed, the door slid open to reveal a grizzled man brandishing a submachine gun in his hand. Senora Sanchez sauntered towards me with the armed man close behind her. She stood directly in front of me, placing her hand on top of mine that was holding the doorknob. I didn't dare to try to pull away as a bead of sweat percolated on my forehead. Even though she was much smaller than me at about 166 centimeters, the weight of her gaze when locked onto mine felt as if I were the roach and she the shoe.
I have been loving your choice of fashion as of late.
Her eyes rummaging up and down my body.
It's almost as if this were fated. Color me impressed, my Mercury?
I gently stepped aside and she and her guard walked past me. No fucking way that just happened. Before I entered the room and locked my door shut, I could hear Senora Sanchez singing my name.
My Mercury.
She sang as she walked down the hall.
I enjoyed taking a nap on your bed. Definitely need to do it again.
Her voice and vice grip of an aura trailed off. I slammed the door shut before running to the phone to call maintenance. I promptly ordered them to replace my sheets and detail my room. Her aura may be a figment of my synesthesia, but I would rather sleep in a tub of spiders than on that bed with her essence. In a matter of minutes, a cleaning crew arrived to scrub my room down. Once they were settled into their cleaning, I entered the bathroom, turned on the shower, and twisted it to the hottest setting. As the shower was heating up, I wiped the steam from the mirror and looked at my reflection. My hair was all over the place with my streak of white matted on top of the black.
I look miserable.
I berated my reflection. In return, the mist spewing from my reflection was a light shade of turquoise. Once naked, I quickly jumped into the porcelain tub and let the scalding hot water wash away the ocean air from my body and Senora Sanchez's lingering aura.